New sport pilot ratings year over year from 2021 to 2022 are down about 20%. That's everyone: airplanes, weight shift control trikes, gyroplanes, and yes, powered parachutes. Some categories were hit harder than others, but each one of them has taken a hit. This isn't sustainable for an industry or a sport, but there's hope. We're going to talk about things every pilot can do to grow our sport, and we're going to do that right now. Hi everyone. The good news is that sport pilot certifications held steady from 2019 through 2021, but for some reason there was an alarming dip in pilot certifications in 2022. That came as an honest surprise to me, since I was pretty successful in getting people across the finish line and seeing pilots issued their sport pilot certificates in 2022. I figured everyone else was enjoying the same level of success. In fact, 2022 was a bigger success for me than 2021. But overall numbers are down, and they are certainly down from the number of pilots flying powered parachutes and other light sport aircraft back in the heyday before the sport pilot and light sport aircraft rule came to be in 2004. Before sport pilot, many of the aircraft we now call light sport aircraft were considered two-seat ultralight trainers and were flown by ultralight flight instructors. The instructors were known as basic or advanced flight instructors, BFIs or AFIs under the USUA and ASC exemptions to Part 103 regulations, or ultralight flight instructors or ultralight flight instructor examiners, UFIs or UFIEs, under the EAA exemption program. The point is, the world was rich in ultralight flight instructors, and many of these flight instructors regularly took relative strangers up to fly. These BFIs and UFIs did the sport a world of good by introducing many to flight. Even if the ultralight instructors didn't instruct their students anywhere beyond introductory flight, they were at least able to set the hook. They provided the experience of flight and inspired others to become pilots themselves. Almost 20 years ago now, the BFIs, AFIs, UFIs, and UFIEs were all given a chance to transition to FAA sport pilots and even FAA certified flight instructors before the exemptions went away. Some instructors took advantage of that and became FAA certified flight instructors, and some simply became sport pilots. Those who became instructors became busy training new students, and those with just sport pilot certificates just continued to fly friends and family for the most part. And that is pretty much the way the FAA envisioned it should be. Unfortunately, the FAA didn't predict the large number of BFIs and UFIs who chose not to go through the transition to sport pilot. For the record, they didn't have to predict it. Back then, I predicted it and said as much in an official public comment to the FAA back when the rule was proposed. The FAA responded officially with, "The FAA does not concur." And I wonder if they concur now. But I digress. Anyway, what was lost in this new alignment was the opportunity for the average guy to just go for a first flight. Instructors are now relatively scarce and busy, and many sport pilots have drifted away from taking others up for a taste of sky. That, I believe, has hurt the growth of the sport, which brings me to 2023. When many of us get into light aviation, we opt to go the pilot route instead of the ultralight route. We often do that because we want to share the flight with someone. And many times that someone is someone very special and has a name. The planned passenger may be a spouse, child, grandchild, or friend. In fact, I believe that having someone specific in mind as a passenger is very motivating when you are working on your pilot certificate. However, once a lot of people get their licenses, they find themselves flying by themselves a lot of times. Being a passenger is fun, but not nearly as fun as being the pilot. So it's natural that the enthusiasm of the non-pilot part of the team may wane a little bit. Ironically, that turns many pilots, even general aviation pilots, into virtual ultralight pilots. That is, in the sense that no matter how big the airplane, it's mostly used to solo fly locally. Pilots either take off and return to the same airport or fly to a nearby airport to visit friends. Those are missions that are often easily done with an ultralight, which means that most sport pilots are flying under capacity. Now, if you're a pilot who actually prefers to fly alone, then I wouldn't change anything. I have a number of pilot friends who enjoy the freedom of solo flight. Flying by yourself means that it's just you in the sky. You don't have to worry about the needs and desires of a passenger. And honestly, while flying solo, you could do things that you know may be a little risky, risks that you don't want to take while another life is in your care. But if you like to take people flying, you should do that occasionally. So what I would like to propose is a New Year's resolution for all sport pilots, especially those who fly exotic aircraft like open cockpit airplanes, weight shift control trikes, powered parachutes, and gyroplanes. The resolution is to take just 5 people flying this year. They don't have to be strangers. In fact, it's better if they are friends or acquaintances. Find someone from work, from the neighborhood, from church or the like. 5 may seem like a small number, but the point is that it shouldn't be a burden. It should be fun. And think of the benefits of giving people the gift of flight. And yes, it is a gift. The FAA says you really can't charge beyond the price of half the gas you burn during the flight. So you might as well go all in and make it a true gift. Back to those benefits. You just may get yourself a new flying buddy. You may introduce a kid to a lifetime of flying and perhaps a career. You may help grow the sport. Those are the things that may happen. There are also some things that will happen. You will get the opportunity to vicariously enjoy first flight through the eyes of someone else. You will do something that someone will always remember. You will do something that will make you feel good about yourself. These are all wonderful opportunities. You can spread the flights out over the year or invite 2 to 3 people at a time for a flying party. It doesn't matter how you get there, just make 5 your goal. So this is a New Year's resolution that you can enjoy. And face it, it's far more fun than vowing to lose 10 pounds or learning Chinese. And if you aren't a pilot yet, perhaps 2023 is your year. Most of the students I work with haven't yet had an opportunity to fly a powered parachute before they show up to class. They just know that they want to do it. That was exactly how I was in the beginning. So if you're interested in powered parachute flight instruction in either the Midwest or in Florida, please visit the link to easyflight.com in the description. Flight instruction is the very best way to get introduced to piloting, and 2023 may truly be your year. If you got some value out of this video, please remember to grace me with your upvote. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you can get more of the good stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and blue skies.